Another strange report stating that the actions arising from our Earth Defense Forces' ongoing confrontation with what are described in these reports as the undersea bases of the Watchers in the Gulf of Aden have necessitated the rushing to the region of the United States President-elect Obama in an effort to avert what is described in these reports as a dire threat to mankind. In our December 21 report titled "World Shipping Comes to Halt as Global Navies Prepare for Unprecedented Confrontation," we had detailed some of the first reports on these strange events taking place in the area the ancients knew as the Garden of Eden and the assembly of the largest global naval force in history, and as we stated, global naval forces currently steaming towards, or already in, the Gulf of Aden include friends and foes alike: the United States, Iran, China, Russia, Germany, Switzerland, European Union, and India, under what these reports state is the cover story of protecting the shipping lanes of that region from the US-backed pirates operating out of Somalia. Current news from this region are, also, appearing to show that hostilities have already begun between our Earth's defense forces and the Watchers, as like the United States' last attempt to attack these aliens by themselves this past January has, once again, resulted in massive cuts by the Watchers to the many undersea communication cables laying upon the seafloors of this region, which have now isolated large parts of the Middle East and the subcontinent. To the worst fears confronting our Earth's defense forces, these reports continue, is a repeat of the catastrophic events that occurred on December 26, 2004, when the American nuclear attack submarine USS San Francisco attempted to launch an attack against an undersea Watcher base in the Indian Ocean, causing these aliens to retaliate by raising the sea floor over 100 meters, which the USS San Francisco then slammed into, but which also launched the cataclysmic tsunami which killed over 250,000. And whose earthquake, latterly, changed the orbit of our entire planet. Also, in our December 25 report titled "Earth Must Be Warned. Screams French Astronaut Before Suicide Attempt," we had further reported on the peculiar events now occurring in the Gulf of Aden and their connection with French scientist, and France's first female astronaut Dr. Claudie Hainera, who, as we stated, had to be forcefully restrained after screaming "Earth must be warned," prior to her falling into a coma from a reported overdose of sleeping pills in an apparent attempt at suicide. These latest reports, however, point to a much graver crisis in our Earth's present confrontation with these Watchers, as reports from the Middle East and subcontinent are showing that our global leaders are preparing for massive war actions in the two of the four known areas on our planet having land access to these ancient aliens' vast network of underground tunnels, with the Israelis prepared to launch an assault upon the Palestinians in the Gaza, and Pakistan reported to be moving thousands of their military forces to the borders of India. Nearly forgotten about our Earth's most recent past experiences with these undersea/underland Watchers was the tragic death of 248 American military forces belonging to their highly decorated 101st Airborne Division on December 12, 1985, and whose plane reportedly crashed on takeoff from Canada's Gander Air Force Base as these soldiers were returning from their military tour of Egypt's Sinai region. Testimony made before the U.S. House of Representatives House Intelligence Oversight Committee in 1998, on this tragedy, though, points to the CIA bombing of this U.S. military aircraft, and is made even stranger by KGB reports of that time stating that Egyptian intelligence officials reported that all of the American soldiers were dead upon their being put upon the aircraft in Egypt after having been killed in a horrific battle at an underground Watcher base near the Gaza border. It is interesting to note too, that though not commonly known by even the most astute researcher into these areas of wonder, the foremost authority on the undersea bases of the Watchers was the former World War II British naval intelligence officer Yvonne Terence Sanderson, and whose research book on this subject, Invisible Residents, The Reality of Underwater UFOs, is still considered by Russian intelligence experts to be the most definitive book on this phenomena. Even more interesting to note are the reports from France stating that Yvonne Sanderson's book Uninvited Visitors, A Biologist Looks at UFOs, was being clutched by Dr. Claudie Hainera as she fell into her coma after shouting her mysterious warning. To all of these events, and as we had previously stated, it is not to our knowing what the final outcome of these events will be, other than to warn that in our Earth's most ancient times the knowledge of these Watchers was beyond dispute. And if our most ancient myths are anything to go by, then we are, indeed, entering a time when, once again, the battles between our human race and the gods will break forth into the open for all to see.